Is this all live right now?
This is all live. Yes, it is. And
Professional.
professional. Welcome. Welcome to the first ever Coh2 podcast weekly. Totally the first one. It's never happened before.
Yeah, never.
I'm elpern, if you don't know who I am. And together with me we have a couple other fellas here. If you don't mind introducing yourself real quick.
Sure. I'm Orangepest. I'm a tournament player. Not really much else to say because I think we're a fairly insular community, right? So everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see if I can make you guys a bit larger.
I was going to say that, Alpern. You've got like a mega webcam. We're all crushed into a cube. We're crushed into a cube. I'm wondering if I'll get more of a Swedish accent if this podcast continues. We'll eventually kind of amalgamize into...
Is that the dream? Just to get a Swedish accent?
Could be. Alpern, you could join us in the cube. You could put your webcam over the Discord cube.
Oh, wait, I can do that?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Wait, how would I do that? I have to disable it on my OBS first, though, right?
Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know that far. I'm kind of screwing up the intro. It doesn't feel like an intro anymore.
It's fine. It's the first one. It's never happened before. We're a new podcast, so one step at a time, I think, is reasonable. Let's just see here. You can continue, by the way. You were introducing yourself. Who are you, AE?
I think Orangepest's opinions on snipers are all wrong. I think that he never learned to play with snipers properly, and he's like taking his wrath out on the community. And Orangepest, am I right in thinking this, or have you changed your mind over the years? Where do you stand on snipers now?
Ooh, okay. I've actually thought about this while I was working today, right? Because, yeah, I dislike snipers just from a game design perspective. But they also keep Brits in their place, They kind of oppress the Brits. It's the lesser of two evils, ultimately. Because playing against Brits...
So as long as it screws over Brits, it's okay. It can be overpowered as heck, as long as it only screws Brits.
Yes, because snipers, inherently, right? Yeah, if it's up against Soviets, they require some degree of skill, partially a bit more for USF, depending on, what they're doing, right? But when it comes to Brits, you always at the very top build snipers, and it keeps them in their place, because I just hate sections so much. They're just so annoying.
It almost sounds to me, Orangepest, that you've evolved over the last year, in your opinion, with snipers, which is very, very exciting prospect for me. What do we think about this new change, though? Like they fire and then they move slowly because firing a gun tires them out. I don't know how it works in the lore, but how does it work in gameplay? I mean, Alpern, Orangepest, you've actually played some top games in the past hour or so, haven't you?
I actually haven't. I've been busy.
I don't think it's been top games. It's mostly been memes and dreams in the 2v2 auto match.
I mean, Alpern's just been spamming Jaeger light infantry, the scum.
Yeah, I misread them. I thought it said Osttruppen, but then I got those guys instead, and it kind of worked. So
Yeah, it kind of did.
It actually looks like Osttruppen are finally dead, though.
You think so?
It looks like it, but I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone said that last time and the time before that.
Well, to be fair, last time, right? Wasn't it like the LMG was better than the Grenadier one?
Yeah.
It's that's not gonna kill him. 6-9 Grenadier squad, sign me up.
Definitely. Okay, snipers as a design concept, I've got to agree with one thing. I think that they are a bit of a poor design. How would you... They're poor design, right? Because they kind of negate a lot of the infantry mechanics. They take so much babysitting. They're so frustrating to play against. The counter sniping's like eggs in one basket. It's the most frustrating game experience of all time. It disrupts the flow. But the reason it's always been good for Coh is because in the tournaments it elevates the skill level. It's very difficult to babysit this petulant man-child that will die in an instant. But how would you redesign it? What would you do differently if in Coh3 in an ideal world?
I mean, in an ideal world, I mean, the way Coh2 does it, right? Like, makes them a bit more like less camera reliant. But I think like the JLI method of implementation isn't bad. I think that's probably the best one. It's
I
like
totally agree with Orangepest. That is, if you want to keep them as one-man crews or like two-man crews, I think that's also fine. But what's wrong is if you go competitive, right? You're always going to pick the tier 0 shoot at your opponent without him being able to return fire. So I think if they're that small of a team, they really shouldn't have any offensive capabilities. They should be more of a scouting unit, in my opinion. Kind of how you see Pathfinders are being used currently, especially in the 4v4 tournament, where they're more of a supportive unit. They scout, and their damage is like neglection, or whatever you pronounce it. I don't remember.
Pathfinders in 4v4 are really broken.
Yeah, they are, but it's the vision component. I think that's what you're paying
Aren't
for.
people blobbing them or something? Pathfinder blobs or something I heard, or is that what's happening right now?
It's together with the Maxims. That's why they're so strong. So you got the Maxim opening on one side, and then you got the Maxim next to him, right?
On Judge 4v4s in so long, rather not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Watching elpern tires me out when he plays 4v4s.
I think watching 4v4s in general is quite tiresome, to be honest.
It just molds into the spam artillery mess, at least in the normal general order match.
Yeah, it's mostly about the arranged team, how you can support each other. And in the current 4v4 tournament, like, it feels like everyone is kind of playing support role. Where you have one Maxim player, which is more of a supportive role, and then you have the Vision player, which is also a supportive role. So no one is really having fun. It's just supporting each other. Essentially.
And that's what Company of Heroes is all about, supporting each other.
I heard that on God, it was a really actually good game. It was Grey Shot versus Skippy FX, right? So obviously entirely different skill level, but they all had roles, and they weren't similar to like the Kimbo Helping Hands kind of 4v4 realm, where it's like, yeah, I'll be the arty capping guy and you be the DPS main. No. It was Cash Bitch. It was off-map plane guy. Can't make this up. Off-map plane guy. So his main dominant role was to point on the UI and point on the map. That was a member of Grey Shot's team. And he was like shouting, "Are you meant to be the off-map plane guy?" It's just like it was amazing. It was amazing. I would want to be Cash Bitch if I was on that. Probably just so I can go to the shop, get some beers. True story. I actually did that in a 4v4 once, and nobody noticed. It does work.
Well, that's pretty typical.
We could use an AE in our team, just as a total cash bitch, If someone doesn't bring their card, here it shows up with the cash. Pretty good.
Nice. It was fun having Kim. I'm just trying to think of the topics we had on Discord. It was fun having Kimbo last week because obviously he was involved in some pretty high-level games. But one of our things was we were going to discuss what CN could have done differently to unseat the mighty Kimbo.
Oh yeah,
I remember we mentioned that.
Yeah, trying to
Orangepest.
recall the games here. I reckon game 6. I think
Orangepest
would agree with
one,
me.
Yeah.
That was the turning point, I think. And I think CN, if he was here, he's in chat right now, but I think he actually would agree if I say that game 6 was won and he kind of threw it somewhere there in the middle of the chaos.
Yep.
Yeah. I just think like when you come off such a loss, you just like it's just so exhausting mentally, and just trying to play like because Kimbo has like the momentum, right? Like he comes off fresh off a victory, right? Even as tiring as it is, I think you feel pretty good. And then CN's like, I almost had that. I was so close. It's like, nope, start over.
It's heartbreaking, right?
It's awful.
If you were to change position, like you had that game in the bag, and then you somehow, let it slip through your hands. It's like sand, it's rough course and it gets everywhere. That's kind of like Kimbo.
Oh, Annie, you've grown. But one thing is Coh2, this doesn't apply to as well, but in a lot of sports and a lot of esports, like you can feel the skill level disparity and you can play around with it. So if you're 10% better than a guy, you can keep it at arm's length and he'll think he's in the ring with you, but you're jabbing him, you're taking it easy, and you can make it work. Coh2 brutalizes that concept because of the combat mechanics inherent to the game. And I would like to suggest that Kimbo at the start of that series assumed he was 20% better than CN, and he was dicking around a little bit, and then the game was, and then CN was way better than he thought he was, and the comeback kind of mechanics kicked in as well, and it all came back on Kimbo, and he found himself in a real fight by games 3 and 4, etc. It was a big long series. My fucking series numbers are way off, but the big news was CN was way better than Kimbo thought he was. And Kimbo got away with basically using that skill level disparity and always staying one step ahead in the series, which I would like to have seen punished, but it wasn't punished. And I do think he just thought he was better, and he did end up being just that little bit better all the way through. How do you guys think of that analysis? Do you think that's right, or am I being a little bit harsh on CN there?
I think you're being a little bit harsh. I think CN is relatively close. Like, I don't think it's 20. I think 20% is too much. Maybe like 10, 15, maybe.
I mean,
like,
we're just spitballing numbers here, but I don't think
We haven't calculated it.
I think Kimbo thought it was 20, and it ended up like being 5 or 10. It's just my opinion.
CN was like, I think the problem is like just going into finals. Like, I feel like because he's done this once before, right? He did like the 2v2 thing with Seeking, right? But like 2v2 is like 3v3 and 4v4. All those tournaments are way different than 1v1. In 1v1, it's basically just you. And you have to like mentally psych yourself up. You have to be like ready for it. And sometimes, like if you're not ready for it, it can be super hard. Like even after like the first game to really get into the zone, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I just don't feel like it was Kimbo pulling back anything. It was just CN really delivering the first couple of games, and then I think when he felt the victory was in reach, I think the nerves got to him. That's what I think. He knew the game was won, and he just couldn't finish it off. He didn't want to throw, while in the same time, while thinking that, he kind of threw. That's what I think.
Kind of a common thing in company errors. You think you've got the game in the bag, but
then you don't want to throw.
Mechanic.
So you stop the roll.
Yeah.
You stop the snowball.
It's especially
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's especially bad for Soviets when you're up against Soviets specifically, because like the core faction design, right? It's like Soviets are always going to be like super strong late game. You're sitting there like taking this uphill battle, so you don't you have to play decisively, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. More aggression was necessary, and I think that he thought he was about to throw. I think that scared him in a way where he didn't want to go all the way, so to speak. He kind of stopped at first base,
It's very easy to fall into the whole, I don't want to throw this game, so let's not play too aggressively. But that you end up throwing the game because you don't play aggressive enough. It's a double-edged sword. It happens. Like, of course, I'm not at the same level, but it happens to me. It happens to everyone. You don't want to throw the game, so you back up, you reset, and that gives the other, the enemy, the opponent, advantage to come back into the game.
You still have to stay busy. You have to have intelligent aggression. You can't afford to fully let up. You have to stay in the fight and be draining the manpower economy. So it's being at least kept at a level. You can't allow it to resurge, And the best players are very good at that. They're very good at... They won't step back fully and let that second Panzer IV build, that third T-34 build. They'll stay combative at all times. And it's about pressure. The analogy of pressure is so good in Company Heroes. It's if you're not applying any pressure, the tidal wave will come onto you. And Coh2 especially has that mechanic. And one thing I'd like to bring up is faction design with you guys. An idea that at certain parts in the game, you're not just competing against your opponents and their faction, you're competing against the game design. Soviets was the perfect example. 7-man con, manpower economy is OP in the late game. Everyone knows it. The manpower pressure against you becomes overwhelming, and it feels like you're, you have to somehow scramble for VPs as Wehrmacht. It's crazy. But what I'm asking is that kind of getting a tired old mechanic? Are we sick of being USF versus Wehrmacht in Coh2, for example? You're going to have this time pressure. If you're not on top by 20 minutes, you may as well GG, or hope for some horrendous RNG. Are we sick of this dynamic, or does it still have legs left in it?
I mean, I don't think it's that bad that you make it out of B. We've seen plenty of Axis wins late game. It's just that generally when you play the game, like when I play the game and you reach the late game, so to speak, you usually set your mind to you evaluate a couple of different win conditions. Especially me, like I have a card game background. And when you do what you do when you play team games is you look at your win conditions, right? So in Coh2 you essentially have two, and then you compare them and you like think about it if you can win the later stages in the long run by VPs or by pure army value, or you think in the short term where you go in and make a decisive win, which is what Orangepest was talking about. You make such a decisive push that your opponent is pretty much going to slash L because like enough is enough. That's enough of a win to make sure you win guaranteed late game no matter what. That's what a decisive push is essentially. And you kind of compare those two, and then you pick one and you build towards that win condition no matter which one you pick, right? That's mostly how I play Coh2. And I think, it's not that the factions are unbalanced. It's not like Soviets is unbeatable late game. It just has a slight advantage.
No, but Relic have in their design philosophy. Do you ever remember seeing the different factions with their original design philosophy? OKW, super strong early game, weak late game. Made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But they have that inherent to their design philosophy. So the classic one is USF are meant to be strong early, Wehrmacht strong late. In Coh1, it was just literally that over and over and over again. Like, if you don't beat them by 20, 30 minutes, you're screwed, kind of thing. Or it's an uphill battle. I'm just saying, are we not sick of that design philosophy and the uphill battle inherent to the game? You know what I mean? Maybe the Soviets wasn't the best example.
I mean, I remember them showing some. Sorry for interrupting that, but I remember them showing some stats of Coh3 with the factions. They also had this late game and early game advantage, and I don't really think it's about late or early game advantage. I think it's more about access to options. That's what I think they're actually referring to, where it's like this faction has more late game options compared to this one per se, etc.
I think, right, the problem with having like it's not like we can call it like a timer, right? You have like say 15 minutes, right? You have to be optimal in these 15 minutes. You have to do every action like perfectly or whatever, and get the most out of it. And I feel like that adds like it limits your options. Quite frankly, you can't experiment because you have to do specific thing. You have to put pressure this and this way, and you have to like always
kind
be
of promote that play style, that you have to follow the same play style with that faction because that's how it is inherently built. Because the Americans, they are built to win as early as possible, really, because their late game is pretty bad. Like they got tools there, but they're not like amazing or anything, and they're very micro intensive as a whole.
That's
so
the
you
big
you
problem.
want to win around when you get your light vehicles out, around that timing, or you want to try to push your advantage when you get your light vehicles out, which then does force that every game is, oh, I have to do this all the time, and you're going to have a massive disadvantage if you don't. And yeah, I mean, I can understand people not liking that.
Do you personally like it or dislike it?
So I play Americans because I do like the challenge to an extent. Like it does keep like my interest there because it is, oh, that's that hard micro intensive faction. But as a whole, I mean, I don't like as a whole in general. Like I don't think people really want to play this faction if I have to put more effort in to win than another faction.
I think it's partially like frustrating, I think, late game, where it's like I might be better than this guy, right? But it's like sort of kind of wind condition has kicked in, and now this hill I have to climb suddenly just gets way taller, and I have to put in more and more effort. I have to do more and more better engagements. It's like the game goes on, your decision making will falter. You might make a mistake you might hit a mine or whatever. And it's like those failures, right? If you like, for example, Soviets, right? If you lose a T-34-76, shrug, move on. It's like a light vehicle in terms of cost, essentially. But when you lose a P4, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, he's gonna have another T-34 out now. If I'm down a single Panzer IV, it might be GG. And it's just it gets to that point where it's so bad and so unfun for me, at least. I don't necessarily like it.
No,
Yeah.
but I do think there's something inherently sexy about USF in that state, because you know you're on this pain train that if you keep doing the right things, it kind of rewards good play. It's amazing. But if it punishes you so hard for making a big mistake like losing a squad. USF, you lose a squad, it's worse than any other faction, quite frankly, in 1v1, isn't it? You know, it's brutal. And watching Devem, who pound for pound over the course of this game series has been the best USF player, do that crazy stream. I know you all guys probably saw it at certain points, but the tiredness started to creep in, and he became a mere mortal over time. He could not keep up with the micro intensiveness of that faction and the need, and he ended up losing to Hoy Jimmy. So it took a while for him to get lowered to our standards, right, or within the realm of our standards. But it just shows that USF is this incredibly intense experience where you have to micro correctly and you have to do everything correctly, otherwise you get fucked by the game, basically. So I agree with NoobiestNath that even at mid level, USF is a fun experience because you know it's kind of like it's like a horror. It's like playing Amnesia, you know. If you fuck up and go around the corner, you're gonna get got, right? USF's like that. You have to play well, and if you fuck up once, that's kind of it. It's like a jump scare if you lose a squad. So I like the tenseness of it, at least.
I mean, I don't think you should discredit Devem. He was kind of playing like at the time he started getting good opponents. He had already been playing for like 9-10 hours, and at that point, you're not at your best. Fatigue gets to you.
You can't play good in those conditions. So
Exactly.
I've tried.
Especially when you play like short games and you play versus opponents that might not be playing optimally, you start to adapt and you do some suboptimal things. Like that happens as well. That's why it's so important to scrim before tournaments to make sure you play at your best the entire time, right? So he might have been losing a bit at the end there. He might have been struggling a bit, but I don't think it was like him. It was more like the fatigue getting to him.
Oh, exactly. He played 17 hours.
I don't know how you could do 17, 18 hours of Americans out of all the factions. Just play Wehrmacht and sit 2 MGs and win. I don't know how. I can barely do 5 hours of Americans on a day.
Well, you gotta keep in mind, right? When you're coming at like against say rank 200s, you can play with one hand and win. But like essentially like at that level, it's so easy. You become worse. Like actively, like you lose like your edge that you need to play well. So you just get people that like you expect someone to do the exact optimal thing, and then it's like they don't do it, and then you're just sitting there staring at them, waiting for them to do the optimal thing, and they never do it.
I actually suffered this, to be honest, because of course I learned the game off watching you guys. I'm like, what is this person doing half the time? I don't understand it. Yet I lose to this because I don't expect it, and I'm planning around this mad build, this optimal build, and then he's bringing out something the most random thing ever, and my mind can't handle it.
Yeah, you open this up with like third RE after his rifle.
I must say,
Nate. Go on, Elpern.
I just wanted to point out it's such a funny what do you call it, crew here. We got AE, which is like the tournament organizer and caster, and he's got all this thing behind him. Then we got Orangepest, like the actual tournament player. He's like top 10 in the world. And then we got Nathan, which is like this newcomer, and it's just so fresh, like seeing new insights from all directions.
What it shows to me is that the knowledge, the hive mind knowledge of how to play this game, and all the community learnings are a cohesive object. Because you can have Nath, that's a complete noob. Me, that's a complete backseat gamer for 10 years, never really played the game properly, but I've just casted a bunch. And Orangepest, who has dedicated himself to learning how to play the game and has gotten very good. But we all know the good shit. We all know what is bad shit, and it's always kind of correlated. And I like that. It just shows you that there is the groupthink kind of makes sense. But I got to say, Nath, that I know your experience when you're like a rank 1000-ish, and you have this idea of how it's meant to be played, and then you're playing against crazy retards that have this mad big dick energy, and they're just doing mad shit. It's really difficult, mate. It's really difficult, and my heart goes out to you. It's horrible.
I've had some weird things happen to me that I've lost to because I've not expected it. The meme stuff worked when you don't expect it. Only once. I will say I've never lost to a meme that I've like against the same person twice. Okay, I'm not that bad. But when it's unexpected and I'm playing normally, and then there's a massive blob of rear echelons or something coming into my face when I have a rifleman, when I have a unit on one side of the map on me, or if I'm trying to cap the map like a normal person, and then there's a spanner charging me with the most random unit, like Kubel spam or something.
Tier 1 in the
Honestly.
center of the map. That's a classic one.
I had this one guy. I had him twice in the same day. I was playing Brits because I was forced to because people are assholes. I don't know how to play Brits. All I know is that they're annoying. So I played against this guy that went like a 4MG start. I'm only 4MG start, and I didn't expect it, of course, because I thought he'd be intelligent. But no, he did a 4MG start, so I got forced back. And what he'd do is every single time he'd move up slowly, he'll build a bunker, an MG bunker. So at the end of the game, there was like about 20 MG bunkers scattered around the map, and then like 4 normal MGs. And then he was just waiting there, like waiting until like he got his tanks. Like I lost to it. I'm gonna be honest, I lost to it. And I was very tilted over that. It's like that was the start of my path to hating MGs.
It doesn't. It's not that doesn't only exist in the lower ranks, Nathan. I'm sorry. I get memed on my team all the time. I still remember it was like recently, on the 1v1 ladder. The fucking Kimbo snipes, and he starts building bunkers everywhere, and of course you lose to it because it's Kimbo. But it makes you feel so bad because he is memeing, he is playing suboptimally, and you still lose to it. That's what gets you going, I think.
It just makes me laugh that there's like Reichsfuhrer XXX Rommel in Automatch. He's got 5,000 Wehrmacht games wins, 5,000 Wehrmacht game losses. He comes up against NoobiestNath. He builds 9 MGs and he loses and goes He goes to the chalkboard and goes He adds another MG to the chalkboard. Yes, my strategy is now optimal.
That's right. No, I'm only this guy. I swear had about 20,000 Wehrmacht games. It's something ridiculous. He had so many games, and I bet you that was the same strategy he has been doing for the past 7 fucking years.
Yes, it is.
Every time, just slightly adjusting the amount of MGs he had. Because I got him in the exact same day.
You play in the afternoon, like weekday afternoons, Nath?
Yeah, I do.
The freaks play at that time, my friend. The absolute no. I know you're a student. I know you're a student or something. But like these no life kind of freaks, like probably like a 40-year-old dude.
Just like... Because I got the same guy, same day. I was playing Soviets, so I somewhat know how to play Soviets, and it didn't work against me because someone pointed out it was the same guy because I can't remember names for the life of me. And they did the exact same thing. It didn't work because I expected it. But oh my lord, I don't know how you can do the same strategy for 7 years.
Like Artem, who like basically became infamous for just doing the exact same shit over and over again.
Speaking of Artem, I think he's actually stopped playing. I've not seen him forever. I feel like Bunty Bag's Wallet Man has kind of taken his spot there.
Wow, yeah.
Because Artem, I don't think I've seen him in a full year. Like you thought you were facing him a couple of times, but it was just Lenya stealing his nickname, and Lenya I've not seen in a couple of months either, to be honest. So
wow, there's a name.
Lenya.
Yeah, Elpern, I've got a question for you. There's a new tournament, $1,000 up for grabs, and you can only build one of each unit in the tournament. Like it's a singleton whatever tournament, 1 unit of like you can have it concurrently, but if it dies, you can rebuild it. Which faction is going to be the best faction and why? You've got 10 seconds
and
of theory
OKW.
craft.
USF
Really?
and OKW, yeah.
Go on, why?
You got Fusiliers, which can do both, which is your pick, and then you got USF Riflemen, which can do both, which is your pick, I think. You got snares on both units can go AI, and both units can go AT, that's what I think.
Oh no, you can only build one of each.
Oh, only one of each?
One
yes,
unit,
so it
yes.
promote
Oh,
ultimate diversity.
I thought you were doing the full spam thing. You can only build this one unit.
Awful. That was just
okay. Sorry, I revert my decision.
The inverse of that tournament concept, helping the inverse.
Okay, then it's obviously going to be Soviets and Austria.
Go on, what's your
No.
Soviet build? Orangepest has got a build. Go on, what's yours, Orangepest?
Airborne, Rifle, then you go Pathfinder, then you go Airborne, then you got 3 main lines. The perfect build.
And you can get double MG and double 80 gun from the commander as well, right?
That's what AE was saying on his own stream earlier. He was saying the Airborne.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's totally going to be way better.
The lieutenant and captain count as the same unit or no?
No, they're different. I mean,
because then USF will always win, right? Because they always have 3 main lines.
Because USF is the best.
Yeah, but you could have OKW, could have Panzer Fusilier, Foch Grenadier, Stern Pioneer. That's pretty decent, right? Kubelwagen, of course. MG34. That's not a bad little.
Actually, OKW is probably better because OKW you have mechanized, which is another 3 vehicles. Like, just think of what faction can bring out the most vehicles. That's where it's going to be deciding, right? If one person only can bring 3 vehicles, one of which is like a Sherman and a Jackson, like he's going to run out of vehicles quite quick. I think that's probably where.
Well, wouldn't you want heavies? Like heavies would be really strong.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like Tiger Ace, yeah.
But then you don't pick Airborne. What do you pick?
If you need, you don't even need main lines as USF because you can just go Pershing stall or something. I think.
What about P4J plus Tiger Commander? I don't remember which one it is though. Isn't there one? I think there's one.
No, there's the Tiger Ace. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is Tiger Ace and P4J, right?
Yeah. That would be really good. But I also feel like Wehrmacht would have such a weak early game, right? Because you'd have to go. Actually, if you go Breakthrough, you'd have everything: Assault Grans, Gran, Sniper, MG. That's.
You'd actually see a mortar in 1v1 earlier-ish.
Hey, I built them. Then he still just smacked him.
An American mortar makes me cry. I've accidentally built an American mortar and I just wanted to slash L. There.
It has to be 5 feet away from the enemy. It's such a great.
If I want smoke, I'll check grenades for it. I don't need to use a mortar for the mortar for smoke. Even though people keep telling me use it for I want a mortar to blow people up. That's all I want. But it doesn't do that, so no.
Have you guys ever tried gambling? In Coh2, there was an ability called Off-Map Combat Group. It was 800 manpower, right? And do you remember it, Nath? Right. And sometimes it would give you an M10, 2 M10s, a fucking rifleman, and an M8. That was the best possible combination. It's like a 1 in 200 chance or something crazy. And you're up against it. You're gonna die. You need the best roll in your life. And then other times it would give you a mortar. The worst MG in coexistence and a rifleman. I'm not fucking kidding you. That was the opposite of that. It was literal gambling.
I don't mess around with RNG. My RNG is terrible, man. I don't care what people say. It's not a learn to play issue. The game hates me, okay? I mean, even in the matchmaking, I get Brits all the time when I play Axis. I won't touch Axis again.
Dude. You're a level 1 helping hands. If you think RNG is a real thing and it's haunting you in your sleep, you're a level 1 helping hands. You're on the path. You're gonna get there, my friend.
I'm getting told all the time that I'm helping hands. Younger brother, I look like helping hands. I'm like hands. Yeah, I'm just like, oh my lord. I don't know. Of course, nothing against Helping Hands. He's a very handsome man, but I don't see the resemblance. I've got black hair. Is that it?
You got the
Glasses.
I wear
glasses, man.
glasses.
It's the
I
same
wear
with
glasses
Orangepest.
too.
I remember Orangepest being called Little Hands. Not
Yeah,
too long
his
ago.
long lost cousin. The first thing
it-
on my face reveal. That's what they called me.
Yeah, I mean it's just the glasses, to be honest. If you are a European male wearing glasses, then you're a Helping Hands lookalike if you play Coh2. That's just the way it is, and people get
You have to
past it eventually.
specify though a European male though, not an American male, a European male.
Yes. Americans
called you
don't look
American
good, dude.
Helping Hands otherwise,
Generally,
right?
Americans. I'm gonna offend a lot of people here, but Europeans, they look a bit better, don't they? They got the jawlines, they got the beards, they got all
You're
that.
saying they're not fat.
No, I'm not.
They eat vegetables.
We're
We're
they got
superior because
the.
we know what a fruit is. Is that what you're saying, Elpern?
Can you deep fry a fruit? Oh god.
I didn't say anything. That is all AE. Show all the hate to AE, okay? We're
I
not all
got
like
some.
that.
I got some PMs after the last kind of the alpha, the beta version of this podcast. I got some bad PMs off people that I offended. I'm not gonna lie. It happened.
Really?
Yep, of people that we've mentioned
Jesus.
in the last 5 minutes. Orangepest, I have a question for you. You've
Yeah.
been the quietest of the 4 combatants. I want a topic idea, and I want a passionate topic idea from you, good sir.
I think I ranted about this during the
Game
0.5
started.
variant. But I just really like the idea of expressive play, right? Do you
Hmm.
know I think I brought up chorus in the specific example. But I think there's better people to riff on. Von Ivan, I think, during 2020 was super unique in his playstyle because he was the only guy.
Jibber
and
Jabber
Dallas, actually.
Jobber half a year ago
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, he did He did double Ostroupen.
Every game.
Yeah,
Stuggy,
double Ostroupen, half
Stuggy.
P-Grand. They would rush your cutoff and he would sit there.
He did that
And
for a full year. Not gonna lie. He did that for a full year in Automatch.
He was he would snipe me and abuse me because he knew Soviets were unplayable. So anytime I'd go on it, I'd just get my ass kicked. I'd get mad about it and have a good laugh.
I can already feel the salt from Orangepest and just remembering those games. I can just remember.
Dude, I remember specifically on that map with the church in the middle, right on my cutoff. I had a Stuggy.
Glider?
Alright, I'm gonna wipe him. I shoot, miss, and then he kills my fucking shock squad at one. No, not shock. It was an S.
Oh.
Well, yeah, what's that shock squad? It was so long ago now. And it just gets wiped on a tree, and I slashed all the video.
Wait, which map were you talking about? Lost Glider?
You know the one with the garrison that covers both fuels, or there's a garrison on each fuel, right? One's a super open thing, and then it's it's Lost Glider. That's the one, Lost Glider.
Oh my!
yeah.
I deleted that
pile
from my
of
memory.
trash.
Oh
God, it was so painful against Ostroupen, man. It was just that entire period. It got so bad I was forced to make a Smurf and just grind Soviets on that account because I just couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it.
I've never heard someone complain about something that's strong against Ostroupen. I've never heard that, and that's the first time.
expressive play then, Orangepest. You actually you went on a tangent of your own point.
Yeah, no, I do this a lot. But when it comes to expressive play, right? Coh2 actually hits on that, which is why I'm really excited, right? I want people to be able to because the best example I think I have for this is Wehrmacht. I think it was 2020 WCS, and despite the fact that it's Silver always went Ostroupen, you had 2 other builds that you could use. You had the 5-man Grants and you had the Assault Grants, right? Assault Grants was basically me, Vaughn, and Bao essentially, right? And then you had 5-man Grants, which I know Lubnist used, and some other people, Ashaman, for example, used that somewhat a bit. And I felt like that era specifically hits a good note with me when it comes to specifically just expressing how you approach the game, right? Because if you want to hit someone, you want to hit someone hard, right? You want to beat them in the early game, then you go Assault Grants. You want to go really oppressive, swarmy, maybe micro-heavy would be a good term for it. Then you go Ostroupen, right? And if you want to go for a good middle, where you want to slowly get to the mid game and grind them down, and then just explode essentially once you got the Vet 3 5-man Grants, you could just it was just so I just loved it so much because you could do so much. But it's sort of like it now, but I feel like only having one main line really constrains how you can approach the game, right? It's just
And
I kind of disagree with that, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, I know we argued about this actually.
Yeah, I'm more of the type of guy that I would like to see one single build being used in every tournament. I wouldn't mind seeing Austria versus Soviets in every tournament. And the reason being is because I don't think the build should be decisive when it comes to the matchup. And
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be necessarily decisive. It just has to showcase like alternatives to a playstyle. Like if you pick USF, you should not always be forced to go super aggro, pedal to the metal. I'm going in your face, and I'm gonna try to end this before like 15 minutes essentially.
Yeah, but you brought up there that the Agrens, they are essentially strong early game, and then you got the Ostruppen, which is strong mid game, and then you got the Feimengrens, which is strong late game. Now we kind of piggyback on the discussion we were having beforehand, where we have different power timings for the faction, right? And this is where I disagree. I think you should have a kind of more of a linear power spike for all factions, and what you do then is how you handle that build order tactically, what you actually do on the map. It shouldn't be what unit, what card you summon. It should be how you use the card. And that's where I think we disagree.
Yeah, probably. But I also feel like, right, like you're probably looking at it from my end from like a very like what do you call it, extreme standpoint. Because I'm not like saying it has to be Assault Grants, Ostruppen, Final Grants. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like if I wanted like a better early game that I could sacrifice my mid game for it, and that showcases I like my early game. I want to play in that way where it's like super aggro. If I want to play support weapon heavy, if I want to play defensive, then I want units that can represent that really well and allow for like, because like even something like Brood War, like I watch casts like at least like once a week. Like the builds are almost always, at least to some degree, different, right? And it's always something new, and they can showcase like what do they prefer, what do they want to do.
Yeah, I know the difference in these two opinions right now. I know the difference, and I know that Coh2 is trying to address it, and it's reconnaissance. Okay, so if Alpern's right, Orangepest is right, but only the two can be right together with the idea of reconnaissance and reconnaissance being rewarded. So this linear progression where build orders don't matter as much, and it's more what you do tactically and how you react to it. I get that. That rewards more kind of mechanical skill, risk profile, aggression, and knowledge of the various matchups and how they work on the screen in front of you, which is very, very similar to how Elpern plays the game. Orangepest, you're aggro, you want aggression, you want to be able to basically destroy somebody in the first 10 minutes of the game. That makes perfect sense. Reconnaissance and the idea that you can go up to somebody's base, see what they're building, or you can go up to their unit composition and see what's happening is the bridge between those two playstyles. Okay, Coh1 had it. Basically, all the buildings had little lights on top of them. It showed you if they were building or not. Coh2 does not have that. It does not have the ability. Also, True Sight, right? You could go up to the edge of a hedge in front of a base and look over it, because True Sight they tried to implement it. PCs could not handle it in 2006, so they canned it, and it had to happen in 2013 instead. But the good thing from it was that a Jeep could drive up, see what was building in the base structures, drive away, and you could work out what base structures they had and which ones were building. Also, the supply yard depot for the Americans, if it upgraded, meaning a better manpower economy, also a fuel investment, it showed like little things in front of the building, and all the little structures had little tells. Elpern, you're a poker guy, I can tell. They had tells, basically. So the bridge between the two playstyles is reconnaissance. And Coh2, to my knowledge, and because I've kind of pushed for it and a lot of other players have, should have that added element, which means you can basically bridge the two playstyles. I don't know how to finish what I'm saying, so I'll just say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Orangepest is saying. Like, so the way with Company Heroes 2 right now, you see the same stuff. You see every time the factions kind of promote that one way to play, right? I've always said this. And it would be nice to have not units that are specifically this unit is better, but it's an optional unit you can go for if you want to, as Orangepest said, want it better early game, or if you're going for the later game, you go for this unit, right? Like, and again, we're talking about Recon. Recon is not really there for Company Heroes 2. It really isn't. There's not really much units that are dedicated to having a look at what your opponent is doing, other than let's shove this unit up to the front line and see what we can have a look at, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's not really recon. That's not really a dedicated recon. That's just, oh, I may see a unit in the line of sight.
And you
of
can
whatever
already
that
see in
unit
the
is.
USF for Coh3, there's a bloody recon unit. It's called recon unit in the Tier 1. And in Orangepest and Brood War, you'll see that the Overseer go over the enemy's base and have a look, right?
Always.
All that
Always
kind of...
recon, right?
Always. It's all about recon. You have to use intel. And that's what Coh2 misses. It does not have that class of unit. It just misses that aspect.
That's where I think, if we piggyback to the sniper discussion, why wouldn't the sniper be that unit? You know, why wouldn't that be the recon unit, in a way, or in a sense?
Well,
say it's a very
It
cheap
kind of
early
is.
game unit.
It's the self spots of it too now, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you know,
always-
but one thing I really like about Soviets is they have multiple build paths, right? And say you have snipers being early reconnaissance units that are kind of cheap. You might be able to get one just to cap some territory and then scout your opponent's base to see, you know, what direction of attacking they're going for. I think that would be very exciting. I
I'm
don't know
not
if...
opposed to it, but like knowing like how it was implemented in Coh2,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
was pretty bad. Like
Hmm.
some essential tools, right, have to be accessible. Like you can't force me to pick between a 50 cal or an AT gun. It's just it's so frustrating.
I've been saying that for so long, and then people are like, "It's the way they're built. It's asymmetry. It's bad asymmetry." That's like what they've done to make the asymmetry in the game is, instead of giving, like, I don't know, giving people being factions being better at others, they've removed stuff from other factions to make it seem like this unit, this faction has an AT gun, this faction does not. You know, like, and the Americans basically don't have an AT gun unless you go airborne or you go captain and lieutenant, which then delays your tanks, which is also bad. So it's just like if you want your AT gun, you gotta delay your tanks, and if you want your tanks, you gotta delay your AT gun or your MG if you go captain. It's such a bad design.
That's
It
where I
really
think
is.
they really hit it with the nail on its head with the Soviet design, because the way it works is, if you go tier 2, right, you got the 80 gun. If you go tier 1, you have the PTRS Penals, which is a worse 80 gun, but it's still an 80 gun. If you go USF, if you go captain, you literally have no AT in that structure except for teching for Zooks. And that's kind of what it needs. Like, if you choose a teching path, it should be something better. It shouldn't be something that doesn't exist in the other path, in my opinion.
Correct. Exactly.
So you should have better options depending on situation. You shouldn't have
you should be able to
exclusive
scale
options.
what you want to specialize in. Right?
Exactly.
Like you want
Yeah.
better AT or anti-infantry.
It should
Like,
become
thing
better.
is-
It shouldn't become like the only choice. Sorry.
I remember people saying this in like early 2013 in Coh2 beta. It's been the design flaw of the game from the get-go is that they were pulling things out of the core tech tree to make them exclusively available in commanders, and then it became so much worse in 2014 when OKW rather, and the USF got released without stock flamethrowers. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the fucking rifleman flamer. Oh,
Yeah.
Rifleman
God.
flamethrowers, AIDS on
And
toast.
the
It was
vet
awful.
free rifles as well, right? Fall in.
I think you could, if you rolled really good, you could start with Vet 2 rifles and immediately rush the flamer, and you would just steamroll.
I don't mind paying $20 a battle group in Coh3 as long as it's genuinely innovative content that isn't just pulled out of the core dynamics of a World War II army. Like, if it's just like, we'll give all of the units one leg, the battle group will add an extra leg to each of the men. You know, it's just, come on. I'll pay $20. I don't give a shit.
The DLC factions are so poorly designed because the vanilla factions, they were designed to have everything, right, more or less, because I don't know if they had plans for DLC at the time, I don't know, but that was generally it. They wanted these base vanillas to have everything, do everything, etc., etc. Then they released the faction DLCs, and they're specialized in specific stuff, which has resulted in them having these weird moments where you don't have an ATE gun, or if you go this and that, you just lose on something. It's not. It's so badly designed, and it's quite frustrating to play around with that. Like, yeah, they're playable. It doesn't mean they're good. Like,
It's not fun.
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. The moment Americans get an AT gun, the moment I will be smiling. It's
I
just,
mean,
it's
you
just
can do
frustrating.
AT guns. But like the balance team has tried making it far easier, right? But like the core problems will always persist. It's like
It's just the way they've been built, and that's really it.
I mean, Coh2 is trying to tackle this in an interesting way. So, I have high hopes. Maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic considering what we've gotten before, but
I can only say, can it get worse? Like, can it really? And if they try hard enough, I guess they could make it worse. But
Coh1's coming back.
Oh my god, don't mention that, please.
For next topic, I didn't actually want to bring this up because I think it's such a negative and kind of sad topic. But we had a ban recently of a specific tournament team. I'm not sure if it's podcast material. Rosbon thinks it is.
I mean, it's an interesting topic.
I mean,
like,
I mean, it's just bringing up old stuff from like a year ago now.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel sorry for the guy seeking as well, because although he's clearly a dick that did dickish things, he's had his punishment kind of thing. Although he did try and play in a tournament recently with his friends.
No, I think that's what.
Was it a cash tournament?
It was a 4v4, $300.
Is there money on? Is there money?
Yeah, but it's small amounts. Like it's $300, and then you divide it by the top three, and then you divide it by 4. It's like maybe $40.
I mean, he came in with a Smurf deliberately, right? Like,
and they used the bloody building from inside the house.
Oh yeah, no,
honestly, I'm more fine with that. It's more the thing where they
you don't enter a tournament. You don't break the rules.
What exploit was it? Sorry, I didn't know. What exploit was this?
In tournaments, it's not allowed to use something that's called ghost building, which is where you start building a structure and then you garrison, and after garrisoning you start or continue building, because you can actually build from within the structure. That's generally been banned from Coh2
You can do it basically, right?
Yeah.
Like on Feynman, if you rush the center building, you can just rush in, start the wire, jump in, finish it, right? And there's nothing you can do about it because you basically don't need the penalty of making the wire. And then that side is rendered inaccessible. And it's so stupid and broken on so many levels.
I mean, it's bad, but at the same time, I don't think that was the decisive thing, at least not for me.
No.
Well, I don't care about decisive. We won that game. You just don't do that. You don't enter a tournament and go out your way to break rules, because you have to take a deliberate steps to do it.
I mean, there was multiple stages of that game, because me and Orangepest, were in the team that were facing these guys.
Oh, really?
It's not like it was like one thing, but it was multiple things which kind of pulled us above the edge, where we wanted to really check in, because they had a Smurf account on their team.
Yeah.
So after we lost, we did lose, which is why this feels kind of bad, because, the losing team got the winning team banned. It always feels bad because you are on the losing side. You lost, right? So you don't really want to get them banned. But at the same time, the amount of fishy stuff that was going on is kind of unreal.
So you did lose, but there was fishy stuff going on.
Yeah, but the fishy stuff was not like the bad part. The bad part is when we started digging in about all this fishy stuff, we found out that it might be a seeking Smurf account.
It's a passage of my life that lasted about 3 or 4 weeks that I really don't like getting into, and it kind of it's upsetting for me, because it's one of those times where you smell the fish from a mile away, and you know it's fish, right? But you have to prove it's fucking fish. And you're like, fuck me, guys, this really smells like fish. So you go to the people and you say, do you think this smells like fish? And they're like, yeah, I think it smells like fish, etc. That analogy, right? That's how it starts. And then from there, you're like, this thing that smells like fish, its uncle is literally a fish. What the fuck? That's crazy. Wow!
What is this analogy?
Don't worry about it, Nath. Elpern and Orangepest get it. It's fine. Just trust me. Just
I
fish,
get
yeah?
it, but it's still the analogy is wonderful.
It's fine. But then by the end of it, you've got the fucking fish committee from Canada, the big fish committee coming over, inspecting the fish and scientifically confirming that it is indeed a fucking fish. Yet you still have people debating whether it's a fish or not. And it starts with it smelling like fish, and it goes all the way to being fish. So
It's a
I
super
just.
painstaking process
Oh
in
man, it was so
general.
painful. It was a month long. Alpern's left the chat for God's sake.
I actually
Classic.
remember.
He couldn't hear me say the
reading-
word fish once more. I don't think, but the fact that people still don't believe it's fish, and they're willing to play with the fish and go into the ocean in a competitive swimming event is super bad. I think. I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, in the
Yeah.
end, it's just like you put yourself in the situation, right? You put yourself. You know that the story or the issues around it, and you should expect that you're more likely going to have issues, get banned, etc., and there shouldn't be a problem with that because they know what they're doing. It's not that they accidentally played with this person. So it's just there's, at least for me, I can't really give much sympathy because I mean it is what it is, really.
I mean,
mean-
there's always going to be room for redemption, right? Like, happens all the time. But I think
Yeah, I mean,
in a small community like this, I think certain lines should just earn you a permaban, right? Outright cheating, just you can't because it kills so much enthusiasm and like bogs things down essentially.
Yeah.
I think
I think you gotta
yeah.
have lines. You gotta have some hard lines. Any association with map hacking has to be a hard line. You know, and I think as a community, we're one of the most forgiving communities in existence. To be fair, I mean, just look at Kimbo. He broke big tournament rules, smurfed on people's accounts and all sorts, and people kind of forgave him due to his youth was a big factor. Due to him starting to mature and contribute to the community a lot more. So I think as a community, we've been shown to be quite a friendly, happy, not dickhead community. But with the I feel sorry for Crossfire. I think he's been a big, long-standing member of 2v2 tournaments. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like Crossfire's always been there or thereabouts, hasn't he?
So just a lot of 2v2s. That's all I don't know tournaments wise.
I don't think I've ever seen him in a 1v1 tournament, that's for sure. Not that I can recall, at least.
I don't think he ever has. No,
I don't
I
think
think
either,
him
to be
and
honest.
Coh2. Like there's few people that like just play like team games, right, and just don't like getting to 1v1 in general.
Yeah, I would hope that like some of those guys get to play again in the future after the hard message has been sent by Hester and Panther.
I mean,
etc.
while it is hard, you kind of have to admit that, I kind of look at it like if you do murder or if you do manslaughter, right? If you do manslaughter, you just kill a person. If you do murder, you plan it and try to hide it, which is kind of what they did by using Smurf account. That's how I see it. Because they deliberately used a Smurf to try to avoid the fact that they were using a banned player for hacks,
That's the problem, really. They actively try to bypass the ban.
Exactly, and
Right,
before the
and-
games, we asked because we usually in tournaments, you know most players, and then there's this one guy. You don't know who it is, but he's playing with the best. Why is he there? And you check him out, and he has like 20 games on his account. Then they're hiding something, and you ask them, why? Why would you ever try to hide something that's not toxic? Like, what are the reasons? Is it a banned player? Is it someone playing in a different team? Like, that's the kind of thoughts that were going through our minds when we were playing this, because we don't know who he is.
I think I remember making a joke, by the way, about it being Seeking before like the entire thing had started, because I knew it was like a Smurf immediately. Just like, it's like the like the list of people, right? Like that would actually do it. Most of those guys are gone now. I think like people that would actually do that sort of account smurfing just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Isildur was one of the biggest account smurfers back in the day. I know, and you know, it was one of the biggest reasons for getting good, wasn't it? For a lot of people, is you create a false identity, so you kind of feel like you can try something new, and you're not got the auto match fear. But I think this game's hit such a level of maturity now that we all know each other. Like literally everyone knows each other, and we're all just waiting for Coh2. So it's like if you do anything wrong, people spot you a mile away. It's so obvious.
Yeah, no, you can't Smurf anymore. One game, it's like, oh, this is, I don't know, this is like elpern or whatever. It's like immediately you can just tell.
Alpern does not use tactical map. What's going on, Alpern? Why not?
Yeah, I wish I started with it, but at the same time, I've heard some people, especially from my stream chat, that actually prefer watching non-tactical map usage. which I can
Exactly.
respect.
Massive, yeah.
Exactly. This is what
if
I've
you-
been saying.
It's
But
horrendous to watch as a stream viewer.
I
I-
can't stand watching tac map spammers. I mean, I watched Orangepest once, and he's like, boop 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 boop. I'm just like, oh my God,
Every
my head.
0.5 seconds I press it, the entire map.
But at the
Yeah, it's
same
the-
time, I can't disagree. It's obviously an advantage, and I try to use the minimap in the same manner that they use tactical map.
You
by
don't,
simply
you don't get, you can't
staring
get
at
orders with the minimap.
No,
man.
that's true. And you get less information because certain things such as a 80 gun will actually show on the tac map, but it won't actually show on the minimap. So there's stuff like that, right? But the tactical map is just superior in every
How
way.
good's your eyesight, Alpern? How good is your eyesight?
It's pretty good. I don't wear glasses. I think I'm the only one
There you
on this
go.
panel that
There you
doesn't
go.
wear glasses actually. So that's
Wow.
You would look great with glasses. Though. Just get the rims. Don't no actual glass. Just the rims.
Oh, yeah.
I think you'd look stylish. You'd look really stylish with them.
But
You'd
us
be able
blind
to
guys,
join
we
us.
can't use this tiny mini map as a tac map. It's impossible. So I
I'm
get
blind,
what
man.
you're doing.
Even with glasses, I can't see anything.
I don't even know what's going on right now. I don't know where I am. It's great.
Yeah, but that was like the big reason why I don't want to use tap map is because I don't want to spam it. I in the end I do like of course I want to get better, but I mean
You don't have to spam it.
like,
Just
Well,
use it for tactical
the
awareness.
biggest
Oh, you know what I
problem
mean.
is getting into using it in the first place.
and that's
Because
also
it's in the
effort,
most
and
awkward place on the keyboard. You have to put your hand across it, press numpad 0, look at it, and then exit. It's just awkward. It just disrupts your flow completely.
and
That's
there's
why, like-
so many advantages to using tac map. It's actually unreal when you think
You
about
have
it.
to rebind it, man. Like you can, like numpad 0 is. I hate it so much.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know
it's just
why they put
unreal.
it on number pad 0. It's so odd.
I mean, not only do you get faster micro by simply, just having to drag your mouse across the screen to click individual units, you also get a tactical advantage because what you do is you overlook the battlefield in a way that you kind of miss otherwise and that you kind of have to think about because the way you
Oh.
see the 80 guns positions and then you might see the open base and you see all of these openings that you might not see otherwise and
I'm
Like-
seeing
like
I'm
those-
seeing an insincerity in Alpern's facial expressions when he's expressing this opinion. That I clearly know he's not committing to it fully. He's just attempting Orangepest into a battle of wits. So
I mean,
yeah,
to
walk
be
into my
fair,
mind palace, dude. Come on.
I think the tactical map comes with a few disadvantages, namely radio silence. Being
yeah.
just
that was
made me
hilarious.
so mad. You just press that button, and for me, because I spam it, right, I can't see anything. I might as well take off my glasses because I can't see anything. Just
You
awful.
become
We know
Valmer on
the
Scooby Doo.
It's just so bad. Like, like I'm playing, like I'm looking around looking for engagements, and boom, everybody's caught up. I rush to my MG, like there's nothing here.
Orangepest just can't play in the normal map. As soon as he goes in the normal map, he's just blind to everything. Everything's all camouflaged. He just can't see units. It's yeah. I don't know. I don't know how people use the tap map, but
I mean, for
I
me, it's a
think-
movement tool primarily, right? It's an information and movement tool. So I use it to move my camera somewhere where I want it to be, and then I can quickly just see. Well, okay, here's all the on the like. And sometimes you also get these like edge cases where you can spot something for a second, and it pops up on the tactical map, but you would not see it if you didn't have the tactical map on.
An eighth, mate. it makes the game about 60-70% easier to play. It's so much fucking easier.
But if
in
I
Tap Map.
use the tap map, I lose my excuses. Okay, I have to play.
That's true.
I have to play
That's
within
why
my
I've not
excuses.
converted yet. Actually, you know, when I lose to players and it's like, you know, I didn't use tech map.
Yeah,
Wasn't
but
playing my
advantage by
100%.
using tech
You know,
on that.
You always have to come into companies with about 20 excuses, and throughout the day, because they're gonna go down fast, I can promise you that, that you're gonna go through that list. Okay. Honestly, the other day I threw a game that I was the guy was on 1VP, and I threw the game.
I remember you mentioning this one actually.
Oh god, it was painful, dude, because I know I would have won it if I kept my rifleman on the VP contestant for a little bit longer, but because I didn't want to lose the unit, I retreated it, and it got to 1, and he decapped it, and I basically lost because my tanks can't hit, and that's my excuse there. My tanks missed.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm-
bad. If it wasn't bad luck, it was DDS or it was the map.
Yeah.
Or it was
Imagine the
matchup.
frustration you're feeling and then amplify it by 10 when you lose by that amount in a tournament, dude. It's so bad when you lose
when
that
Helping
amount in a
Hands
tournament.
lost in a tournament because
Oh my
his unit
God.
was on in the capping circle.
Oh
was on
yeah,
the edge.
he didn't capture. I remember that one. Was that like the Most League 5, right? Or was it before
Something
It was
that?
on
Yeah.
Feymanville. Wasn't it? Who
Yeah,
was it against?
it
Wasn't
was.
It wasn't S
Oh,
Price.
man.
Even though I think
Northern VP.
It was,
who
yeah.
Was it? Who was he up against?
I don't remember.
Jibber Jabber Jobber or somebody like that. It wasn't a progressed game. It was one of the last tournaments he played. It was like a round 3 or something.
Huh.
I do
You know.
find it funny.
That
though.
is.
I
so
do find
frustrating.
it funny because the day before that happened, I was telling Elpern how good Easy 8s are because he was in this massive tilt like, these tanks are shit, they don't work, why is people telling me how good they are? And I was like, they are good, you're just having bad RNG with it. That one game, I went double Easy 8 and they missed every single shot. Every single
Yeah,
shot on a
I'm
Panzer
not a
IV,
fan of
and
these
one
yet.
of them died on them.
So
And
strong though.
I
They
feel
are
like
strong
I feel like
they
they're
hit.
garbage.
they're strong if they hit, and that's the key aspect I'm
Yeah,
missing.
in
My
before
tanks don't hit.
Orangepest, just roll good, right? Just roll good.
Well,
and
yeah,
you're
rolling
fine.
good is a valid strategy. Just look at what was it? That was Lovenose versus Devon, right? And they had like 2 P4 stabbing like an 85 and a lived. It's just better player wins.
Oh, that fucking
So-
game. I remind Devon that of every time he ever casts with me, and I see him on the webcam on my second monitor, and he goes, every time I break his soul. It's
Just
because-
roll good is the most tilting thing for me because I'm a massive nerd and I actually play tabletop games, and you know 'cause that is actual. You roll a dice, and I have had so many issues with the dice has just cucked me so much. There was one time so essentially I don't know if anyone's a massive nerd like me. I play 40k tabletop, you know.
Well, wait, which 40k thing do you play?
Which means
And well, it's like Dark Heresy and Only War and all that stuff, right?
I just play the normal.
Oh, you
like
do.
the
Oh,
normal-
yeah.
So the thing is, I had a unit that could save on a tool. I just had to roll 2 ups out of 13 dice. I rolled 9 ones. 9 ones in 13 dice. I had to roll 2 ups, and that's it. To cry.
Yeah.
That's what. Can't, man. Try. I sacrifice goats. It doesn't work. Everything I try, RNG hates me.
Well, okay. The thing
know-
with RNG, right? It's a mentality thing. Because you will roll bad, right? But you don't remember the good. You never remember the good, right? Unless it's like extraordinary.
I mean, good. I don't know what good is. I've never had good in my life.
Everyone says that, but then
Aw.
you like play them. It's like, yeah, you're so lucky, man. This is why I lost.
See, you can like in company heroes, you can see the back and forth. Like one game you absolute tilt in rage, and the next game you're laughing at the enemy missing all their shots. Just like you just were raging about that exact same thing, and now you're laughing at it.
Start acknowledging when you're being lucky. I feel like that's kind of important because
Man.
once you start acknowledging when you're being lucky, you kind of realize that it's somewhere at the end of the tunnel. It actually evens out to
But then you
some
lose the
degree.
excuse. What's the point if you don't have an excuse? You can't,
Oh yeah, that's
can't you
true.
say,
That's true.
This guy's
What
better
have we
than me.
been trying to tell you, Elpern?
I-
Excuses.
That's why you don't use tactical map. Easy as.
Well, no,
Yeah,
this is why you
exactly.
should, because then you can't see the RNG.
Oh yeah.
You can't see it. It can't affect you.
The
God.
best thing I think you can do is get a disassociation with the RNG event. So you retreat a unit on the right of a map, okay? Don't look at the retreat path. Go and do something else. If it happens to die, you think, company of heroes.
Yeah.
If you watch it and you see those 2 bullets hit it randomly, fucking the folks grenadier, it never happens usually, but this time it just so happens to happen. Then you're pissed. But if you're like doing a stock of all your units in base, so you're hitting F on, if you're a proper grid key master race, you're hitting F to reinforce, and you're like, yeah, come on, guys, come on. Where the fuck are they all? Then it's not so bad. It's not so bad. So my trick is don't look at the RNG events. Look away. Go do something productive.
See, the other day I was playing Company Heroes because I have no life and I play it every day, and I was caught on stream. I had 2 T-34s and 2 AT guns, and I just caught it because I was scrolling back and forth. The P4J got abandoned. I fired 2 T-34s, both bounced, and I was like, okay, let's just fire everything at it. 2 AT guns, 2 T-34s, every single shot bounced on an abandoned P4J. I honestly, I can't even explain that. It just, even in death, the tanks are trying to tilt me.
Abandon is such a bad mechanic.
Oh, it's awful. God,
I mean, there's a
can't-
reason why we have tournament mod, you know.
Ugh.
I know.
I
Whoever
mean,
thought that was
you
a
can
great
make the
guy.
same argument for a lot of things, like the weapon drop. Can be
I
absurd.
actually
That's
think-
really bad. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
whether we should add it to tourney mode or
Well,
not. It is
I remember
really
bringing
RNG.
it up once you
If
started
you
discussing about
remember,
tournament
like,
mode, Eddie. Sorry, but I remember you bringing it up, or I bringing it up when you started talking about tournament mode. Like weapon drops shouldn't be in there either.
No,
I don't remember the
the
counter
only
arguments.
the biggest one is the flamethrower, of course, and whether that should be in it or not. But I to be honest, yeah, I'm starting to see your point. I started to see your point a year and a half ago, but I just always thought it was the original 5 were great. In fact, 2 of them are in the game right now, so they were pretty damn good. And I just thought that was the 6th one. So if we were to expand on it, certainly weapon drops are still in contention. But to be honest, I kind of checked out of trying to push the game forward. I did my bit, just chill out for a
Weapon
bit.
drops
you did well, I think.
are frustrating. Mainly, again, like I've had instances where I don't know why, but like every unit is just dropping their weapon. I'm just like, what is happening? I had one game where I went M1919s on the rifles for once. I was just messing about, and they went a mortar that hit every single shot twice. I'm getting twice in about a minute. The mortar wiped a 4-man rifle squad, and it dropped an M1919. Both of them did. They got like the mortars hit them both and wiped them out, and they both dropped an M1919. And people can see this because I stream all my games, and I stream at like
Oh
my
my
slow
gosh.
descent to insanity.
I think the
They-
worst thing about the weapon drop too is that you invested 60 muni or 70 muni, however much.
Yes.
Exactly.
Drop it, effectively giving them 60 munis. You might as have lost like double.
Oh,
It's
I
so
know, right?
annoying.
Playing
Yeah.
versus double MG Grens because I was at his cutoff. It was on Crossroads at his cutoff, so right out his base, and they dropped M1919. So double MG Grens. I was not winning.
Oh, that's brutal.
The
And
worst
Nathan,
thing.
go on, sorry, Alpin.
Yeah, sorry. The worst thing about it is that it's something that's natural to the game, you know. Naturally, when you play the game, you are going to lose models. And the fact that that can punish you when it's just playing the game, that's where I just really dislike it, because it's not something you can affect. You're going to pick
And the
those
counter argument
engagements.
is also really bad as well. Like a squad loss is already really punishing in itself.
Exactly.
So if the next extent is only a weapon drop on squad loss, that's like double dicking somebody that's already been dicked. It's not necessary. So
But at the
there's
same
not
time,
really
you can at
many
least
arguments for
prepare
weapon
for
drops.
it, I feel like.
I
Honestly,
think there's like a place for it, but it has to be in like a controlled way. where
Yeah.
it's not in like automatic. It could be in like a casual mode or something for fun, right?
Like
And be, like, playing with your
LSD, it's
friends.
only fine in a controlled environment, you know.
Well, it's just like if you're playing 4v4 or 3v3, it doesn't matter, man. Probably gonna get killed by an artillery strike later. But in 1v1, when you're rolling up against an Ober with like an M919 and like a MG34 or whatever, you're sitting there. You have like all the like mentally you have all the ranges in your head that you can win and lose, and like you have all that in your gut stomach, right? But then he adds in another factor that's so rare that you literally cannot account for that specific factor when you're taking your
Yeah.
fights. So you might as well just lose every single one because you can just move forward probably. It's so frustrating.
I hate it when people go like, basically just tell you to don't be so aggressive. It's just like, what are you on? I'm sorry, but if you think this, like, that you should be punished for being aggressive, you're an idiot. It's such a bad mentality to have. Oh, this person is aggressive and should be punished.
Yeah, I
'Cause
mean
that's like, you
the
don't get
game's
punished,
always
it's
had risk
passive.
profiles. Sorry to interrupt, dude.
No,
The
it's
game's
fine.
always had risk profiles and the idea that different players with different mentalities can be successful in different ways. So I've always enjoyed that. And I did actually have a question for you though, Nath. Or
Hmm?
do you think right now you're ingraining bad habits and you're going to plateau really soon? Or do you think you're on the steady road to improvement and eventual non-noobdom? Like, which road do you think you're on? Do you think you're just going to have fun and ingrain bad habits and kind of become a casual mid-level to low-level rank player? Or are you actually learning the game properly and do you think you're on the road to success and you're going to be the next Orangepest?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I've got the tilt levels, if that helps.
That
But
always helps. The more angrier you get, the more you want to improve and beat that guy. So
See-
motivating me super hard.
it's kind of I don't know, a bit of both maybe. Like, I do want to get better. I do aim to get better, but at the same time, I don't want, like, I'm still playing for fun, right? So it's kind of a balance for me. But that balance leads to me kind of repeating the same mistakes that I otherwise should know better by now. But I do want to improve. I am improving to an extent, but at a slow pace, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
But sometimes
yeah.
the winning move is not to play, and it's horrendous. Playing Coh2 too much can make you worse at Coh2. It's a horrendous philosophy, and then we've got a really good guy in chat who's been very present throughout this entire podcast. Britboy is like saying about golf: do you have fun, or do you go away and teach yourself a certain element of your golf swing over and over and over again, so you get really good at golf? Because it's incremental improvements, and it's actually going outside the box to improve style parts of your play. And like both elpern and Orangepest are present here. They're both very, very good players that would have done this at certain points. They would have had to have worked on elements in order to push on and get better. You do not get better at something that requires a higher skill level unless you go away, you break it down, you work on the elements. And I've been, oh man, I was a terrible rower from 19 to 25 years of age. I was awful. And I had this coach basically come and tell me, mate, you are shocking at this. you are bad at this hobby, this sport. And he pulled me apart and he brutalized me, not on the sphincter, but mentally. And he made me like readdress this entire sport and like break it apart and do it again. And it applies to Coh2 basically. And that's what I'm asking you, Nath. Sorry to keep bringing up the first part. It feels harsh.
It's fine. I'm used to it.
But
Okay.
it's
I
true.
only try
Are you
myself to
willing
sleep.
to like take a week off stream and go away, learn a new tactic, or do you want to keep plowing on in the worry that you're going to ingrain bad habits?
Yeah. I get what you're saying, and to an extent, I like. So the whole like critical coaching in the sense is I like that. I want to know what I'm doing bad, right? I don't need people telling me I'm amazing, right? Because I know I'm not, you know? Like, but the only way for you yourself to improve is to be told, no matter how harsh it seems, what you're doing wrong, even if everything you're doing is wrong. Because you really just, yeah, like, I want to get better, so I'm more than happy for people to tell me, you're crap, stop doing this, and start doing this, right? Like, it's the only way you're going to get better is acknowledging the issues you have on the game, right? Pretending like you're not like you're doing everything right is stupid, because you're not going to learn anything. Like I definitely like have improved. I still go back to the moments where I'll just completely forget everything, right? Like there's just get games where I'll just be like, just doing the stupidest stuff. But you know, there is improvement. I'm just kind of, yeah, as elpern tells me, just try and play to learn rather than to win necessarily. That's why I'm playing
Like
specific stuff. Yeah, I'm playing specific stuff, even if it's not the most optimal way. I don't care. Like for example, mines. I never got used to playing mice mines. Why? Because I play Americans. And that's one thing they never had, other than the really crumb Reesha one, unless you
Or
went
if you
right
got
for complete.
specific commanders
Yeah,
for it, in which case it's not even a worthy investment anyway.
yeah, but these days I kind of force myself to go the ones for rifle defenses if I'm playing America, just so I get used to placing mines, because it's kind of just getting that engraved into your mind. You want it to become just a second nature, and
Yeah,
it
definitely.
has definitely helped me. Like when I'm playing service, I'm placing mines. When playing Americans, I'm placing mines. That's it. It's a little bit different when I'm playing Axis, because I just don't play much Axis. Mainly because 90% of the time I don't want to wait 20 minutes for a game, because it's usually Axis bias on the matchmaking, like 8% Axis. So that's the biggest reason. But as a whole, it's just like I'm just trying to force myself to pick specific doctrines to learn specific stuff.
I think
Nathan, sorry to interrupt, but have you ever played, or have you ever watched your own replays? Because this is something I say a lot about people that are really
Times.
trying to improve,
A
and it's
couple of
something I
times.
did, and it's actually unreal. The amount of time you have to play before you gain the same knowledge you get from a single replay of watching yourself is actually unreal. And that's something I keep saying to all the new players that like to improve. Watch your own replays. The game you lost to something you were really struggling against, and see what your opponent does. It actually does a great deal. And it doesn't matter if you're a new player, if you're an old player, watch the goddamn replays. We're in the 4v4 tournaments right now, trying to get access to the replays, just to watch them, to see what went wrong, where we did stuff wrong. And that's where you improve, because
Yeah.
you notice
I've watched a
patterns,
couple of
right?
my replays. I need to start saving them more. I get into the habit of just skipping past it and forgetting to save.
This applies to 99% of the community, but you're the 1% of the community that's streaming your actual gameplay, so you don't even have to watch your replays. You can actually see your mouse
Yeah,
movements
no,
in real
that's fair.
time, and the amount you learn about yourself, the amount of misclicks in inverted commas in this community is so
Oh.
funny. The amount of people that think they've misclicked, that they think the game has fucked them when in fact it was a misclick. Mainly Imperial Dane. He accounts for 80% of them, but that 20% is really well spread across the community. It's hilarious.
I don't know
Everyone
what he's
has it
talking
where they
about.
think
It's a classic fallback excuse, right? It's just like, oh, it's my controller's not working. The typical fighting game thing.
I see. I'm the type of person that will say the game's against me, but once the game's up, I'll be like, "Well, I already know what I did wrong." It's just excuses, really. I'll shove them out in the actual game, right? But I'm very well aware I'm an idiot who's misclicked. But, that being said, I don't know if anyone I've had one person experience this, but do you guys have issues with shift commands occasionally derping?
yes, they do.
No.
Yes.
I used to have it.
I know there's a hard cap on the roof. You can't assign 50 commands. I think there is a hard count around
It's
15.
way lower than that. It's
Yeah,
like
I've had
it's
7.
I've had
Yeah,
times
maybe
where
7, something like that.
I swear 100% I've shift commanded and
No,
it's
no,
just
it definitely
done.
has bugs to it, I think. But
Okay.
it got to the point where I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna use it to shift cap. Because it's not reliable enough or anything.
Yeah, because there's times where I've just been capping my fuel with my re-echelon, but then I'm like, oh, I should let me quickly queue them up because I forgot. So I will remember to click the fuel and then the next cap. But then they just walk off. I'm like, what are you doing?
They do
Like,
that. Yeah.
I don't know what are you doing. I genuinely thought it was me misclicking and stuff, but it's happened way too much for it. Like, it happens
That's a
Not
misclick. I'm sorry.
consistently.
No, that's a misclick. That will be a misclick, Nath. They can't. The
It'll
shift
happen,
commands
yeah.
can mess up after the 6th or 7th. I've tested it, 6th or 7th. But if it's after the 2nd or 3rd, it's more than likely you misclicked. And it's probably a unit selection error.
Maybe.
As in,
yeah.
you think you selected a new unit, but you actually still had the previous unit selected.
Maybe.
That,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
what Imperial Dane, God bless him, does all the effing time. He'll have his AT gun selected, and then he'll go to the call on Tiger, and he'll be like, Panzerkampfwagen 6 forwards! AT guns, what are you doing? It's classic.
Oh,
but
you're gonna
Yeah.
get more angry PMs after this podcast.
Oh god.
Now
No,
you're angering the wrong people, man.
oh,
The
God.
English mafia is out there.
But yeah, it's just classic, man. It's classic.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt like either it was me misclicking, of course, which is probably the issue, or the game having derps. But yeah, it's probably me. What I think is happening is like, yeah, it's me when I'm trying to click another unit. I've clicked and ordered that unit to bugger off somewhere.
Actually, one of the worst bugs in the game, right? That people, it feels like people don't really know about it. There's the thing with vehicle crew as USF, where if you don't order them anything sometimes, they'll just decide to walk in a random direction. And it happened to me in a tournament game, and I was so
I remember it
tilted.
happening to Kimbo in a tournament game as well.
Dude, it's so, you get so mad, 'cause, like, I didn't order
Yeah.
you to go there. Go back and
And
fix the
it's
fucking
not
tank.
consistent. It's one of these strange bugs where we don't know what's actually causing it. There's no trigger. It just happens randomly all of a sudden.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like you're like,
It's
okay,
so
fine, right?
strange.
And, like, out of nowhere, your crew just comes in and says, "I'm helping."
Yeah.
So I'm not going insane. That does happen.
Yeah,
does
that is an
happen,
actual
yeah.
bug. I've talked to Jibber about it, and we tried like finding a solution, but it's like fucking impossible.
Because you
I
don't
saw
know the
This
trigger.
one.
right?
This one's a super rare. This is a shiny bug. If you get this one, has your infantry ever attacked an ambient garrison? Just a full health
Yeah.
garrison sitting
Yeah,
there.
so-
Your infantry just starts firing at it. It's
I
so
mean,
funny.
Is that crawler? There's a crawler inside or something?
Oh, Elpern, it must be, yeah. Fucking CSI
Well,
Elpern on the case. Holy
no.
shit.
I mean,
yeah.
I know I've
They
seen
don't-
it
they
before.
don't
So...
automatically shoot crawlers. You have to target select
Yeah,
spawns,
but
don't you?
like
Oh, yeah.
certain units do. Like the Schwerer, I believe, shoots at crawlers.
Yeah,
automatically.
but if you're inside a garrison, they'll auto shoot crawlers. But I don't think if it's like an empty garrison and there's like a crawler inside, I don't think you guys would shoot because they don't target like normal
But
crawlers.
whatever you, honestly, infantry sometimes attacks garrisons, and it's like it's super low
you-
percentage
are
chance.
you
It's
a-
1 in
I- I
1,000 chance.
So I'm not sure if it applies to buildings because I haven't tested. But are you attack grounding on the building? Because I've had it like they will shoot
Well,
like
no,
ambient
because
stuff.
then they would attack. You
Well, you
can't
can do
attack ground
attack
with like
move.
rifle squads anyway, so that wouldn't happen.
So I've had my rifle shoot at like tank traps because I've clicked near like on it and they'll just shoot at it randomly. Because that's the issue I've had. Or did I say yeah? I mean tap move. Sorry. But I've tap moved and they've shot at a tank trap. I'm like,
Oh.
what is happening there?
One of the also frustrating bugs is the flame related ones, where you guys will just start dancing once you get burned, and then just
Oh,
refuse
yeah.
to retreat and then get wiped. That
Or,
one is
or when they
so
would get
awful.
hit with like a explosive shell and they throw to the ground and lay down and they get like there's no responsiveness. They just sit there and wait for like 6-7 seconds getting
They're
shot
sitting
at.
there smashing the fucking retreat button.
Yeah.
Just screaming at them to move, and they just refuse to.
Yeah, but it's small shit like this. I think
Yeah,
we
but,
should
like,
be
that's
kind
the
of
sort of
happy
stuff
that
that
this
can,
is
like,
the
end
stuff
you,
we're
yeah.
complaining about compared to like 2 or more years ago
Oh my
where it
God,
was
yeah, that's
so
so
much
true.
bullshit in the game.
But be us in ESL, like trying to promote the game as an esport. Be Cruz in Coh2.org suddenly figuring out that offensive veterancy for all infantry in the game doesn't work. he posts a comment that literally like shakes the ramifications of the entire community, and the entire fabric of like the group think is suddenly broken. We realize we're all fucking idiots, and we've been talking about veterancy that doesn't exist. Like,
Yeah.
it's a Vet 3 rifle, Stormless. Wow. It doesn't mean anything, bro. It doesn't mean anything.
There were some
fucking mean anything.
really bad bugs on launch too, and just some poor game design. Remember, like on launch OKW, when like the truck had like a machine gunner inside or whatever, it could like actually like damage people.
The
And it was also
SWS
free.
truck.
Yeah,
I mean, it could also crush infantry if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and that was when
Yeah.
Samoy's like Samoy's summer was in the pool, and you would like rush it towards the like base and just block it off. That sort of stuff that can't be in Coh2 on
Oh yeah,
release, man.
people are mentioning Ghostwire, and I think they're talking specifically about the wire that stops vehicles. What you did is sandbags, for instance. Sandbags, you can light vehicles can't drive above sandbags. What you did was with your infantry sections, whatever that didn't have snares, you could still snare vehicles by simply building sandbags in front of them because they couldn't traverse over the sandbags. Even though they were not finished, which is something.
You could do that to trap squads on retreat too, or not on squad like by cover.
Yeah, you could use that
Remember
with
people
wire
doing
and
that
stuff.
against
Like
squad
even though
ones?
it wasn't finished, it still worked like it's
Yeah.
supposed to. And it was just such a hell because essentially just trapping. It's like it's like Age of Empires. You got the quick walling stuff. It was the same shit, but the losses actually matter. So when you lose a Stewart to a bloody OKW false grenadier that sandbagged you, it's kind of upsetting.
The old Wild West of Coh2 in those days was like Barton versus Cruz in February ESL. Cruz was chasing his sniper. Barton always built a sniper first. He was chasing his sniper down with some vehicle, and Barton then he builds tier 2 in front of the chasing vehicle to block the chasing vehicle on the edge of Samosky Winter. Like the base sector was huge, if you remember, and it was just so epic at the time. The crowd went crazy. The casters, mostly me, went insane. And it was like, wow, who is this guy doing? I'm drunk, doing these things. But it was cool, man. I loved exploits back then. I loved Loveness putting the fucking little tripwire flares in front of a house and killing a full health squad. Back then, man, it was cool. It was the Wild West. Our standards have gotten so high now. Our standards are like, wow, a small little bug like those Crossfire douchebag 4v4 team build. Now it gets reported straight to Sturm Banther. And, but back in the day, it was fucking prime time, baby. It was like how you win the tournament.
I remember seeing a tweet from DevM recently who retweeted something about chess, where he said that chess has become so boring because there's 2,000 years of patches and players that have figured out the game. So, when you make a move and your opponent goes, that's a rookie mistake, 37 rounds from now I've got a win in my bag, It's the same kind of thing where it's kind of, it's more interesting when the skill level is like all over the place, You can make odd things happen. Well, if it becomes kind of too competitive, you kind of lose some of that. But I still think Coh2 is in the good spot there.
I think it drives the heart of games, right? Like patches, for example, because it gives people a reason to come back. But more importantly, it changes things up. Like if you have like the exact I know there's like some outlier cases like Brood War. It's like still going like decently okay, despite not having like practically any real patch to the balance. But like for Coh2, it's been such a massive boon because it always evolves and always changes, and it makes things more interesting. You just give time to like develop new strats.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's an argument for that, but also there's an argument that we haven't actually seen the zenith of any patch in Coh2. We've never seen the true players pushed and pushed and pushed. Like Coh1, I'm sorry to keep bringing up Coh1, guys, but I do have, experience there.
Coh1 has a lot of good lessons to learn from, I think.
2.602 came out in 2012, I want to say, and it wasn't until mid 2013, just before Coh2 came out, that we saw the end form of that patch. It took 2 years. 2 fucking years. And it was like, you'd think it'd be dead and buried. I mean, it's mostly Americans versus Wehrmacht for most of that time. But in no scenario in Coh2 have we ever seen a patch hit its end point, in my opinion. Yeah, Ostrup and mechanized. You could probably say maybe that was getting close to be fucking fair, to be fair.
I think it was there, honestly, because
You
like you
reckon?
had
Do you
no way
think
of
so?
improving the build.
Do you think so?
Yeah, actually, like, because I sat there and I was like, because basically you had either you played USF or you played Soviets. Soviets was like your win condition is I'm at like 50 VPs, 30 minutes in, all my conscripts are vet 3 and I win. Because conscripts back then were fucking ludicrous. I don't know if you guys remember, but they got like 10% like accuracy bonus at vet 3, and Grants didn't stand a chance. They would
That
get
wasn't that
bullied.
long ago. That was like 4 months ago, dude.
It feels so long ago. But like
Yeah, I
at
know,
their
but
peak, when it was like 16 manpower, so like godlike that you literally could not win. It was just that and that's like what Aishaman did, right? He found the win condition for Soviets, and that was it. Like, and then like you just didn't play Soviets because it was
Oh,
you
that
couldn't
guy was
couldn't do
so
it.
good.
yeah, you just
Asian
stalled until that victory condition.
Yeah,
Essentially.
it was either urban assault or it was the urban defense. One with the shocks and the M42, or it was the defensive, and you went for Dishkas and you went for the anti-tank barrage, and you just spam T-34s and conscripts late game. It
Is
was
this
just-
game shit to be an elite level player in? Because we have the Dave Talisman Asiaman situation where they get to the top 5 in the world, possibly top 2 or 3, and then they disappear. Is it like once you've reached the top, do you think these guys think, "Oh, I've done it now. I might as well fuck
Well,
off"?
I think the problem is like look at Isildur. He went on challenge for a good period. I think the biggest problem is you just get frustrated with the design. I think very quickly. Like seeing sandbags every game, for example, is like it's so just you just sigh and just go, oh, here we go again. He's gonna take this position, build another sandbag. Great, I'm
I've only
having
been
fun.
playing
This
the
is
game for a
interactive.
couple of months, and I'm already sick of it.
It's imagine playing this game for like 2+ years, 3 year, even like fucking 6, 8. It's just sandbags constantly. Ugh.
I miss a time when I didn't care about the game, where I'd only play the game once every year or something. I remember like a couple of years ago, I'll play like when friends were playing, and we'll do like custom games. And all I'd do is I'd never play seriously because all I do is spam conscripts. I'll have about 20 conscript units and then once they're dead, I'll replace them with T-34s. Just spam them out because I was just messing about. And now I can't play the game without crying my eyes out at night after a game of Company of Heroes.
I mean, it's just I think it's those little things, right? And people like Talisman, Jove, and probably those guys, just like it's the tiny things that add up, and the core like direction that Relic was going for a long while. It's probably not giving them hope because I remember right after GCS 2, I started screwing with Talisman like pretty regularly for like a few months. And I would just cheese him a lot. I could tell he was getting super annoyed because he played OKW tier 1, right? Flak after. I would go WC51, jump in like the assault cab and just rush him. And like the thing would die and he'd just like he'd be like annoyed, right? Because it's not fun as OKW because you didn't have fast or anything. It's just ugh. But and like those things, like it pushes you away from the game. It's pushed me away to some degree. Like I've stopped playing Ultimate almost completely now because I run like last patch was like every game it's Osttruppen, Stern Tiger, and every point I lose there's a sandbag. And it's like I don't want to play this. This is not fun. It's not doing anything new.
I was getting this. So at my ranks, it's just okay to be spam, and 99% of the games was just some Tiger, and honestly, I couldn't even.
Stern Tiger was a really bad offender actually because it was like he shoots you from outside your sight line and you just lose something. And
It just aged terribly. You ever seen the Reddit aged like milk?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Angry Dutchman was making all these epic comebacks at the start of the last patch as the Sturm Tiger Doctrine? And he did one against Isildur and all these other things. And I was like, me and other people go, this guy, he's now suddenly top 10 in the world. Angry Dutchman is a revelation. But no, he was just using Sturm Tiger. But we didn't know it at the time,
I just want to humble brag. I kinda call the Sturm Tiger. I just want to humble brag.
It was so impressive, and I hated playing the game when I knew that it was coming out. It was so predictable. Just like and just
Sorry?
Nathan?
tedious to play against because it's just like, whoop, your squad's dead.
Can you
AVRE is
repeat
now
that?
that.
So it was just tedious playing against the Suntiga because it's just like, boop, your squad's dead from nowhere, you know. And then if you do get your squad away, it's just like half your army has to retreat because the boogeyman's come in, right? So it's just like, yeah, it's either you lose your map control because of the boogeyman, or you lose half your army because it's like poof, poof, blowing everything up.
It's one of the worst design things about Coh2 in general. It's just one-shot units that you can't do anything about. B4, the old
Yeah.
B4. Remember when they had like direct
I
strikes? You could
love
hit
that unit, man. That was so cool. Oh, not the old one.
the
Sorry,
one
yeah.
with precision barrage, man, where you had 100% chance to hit, and you would be playing, and so boom.
The
I
difference
liked when
between
they made it
caster and
random.
player, dude.
Yeah, definitely. But I like the
love
one
that.
where
I hate that.
I like the one where they made it the one just gone before this second. Well, you know what I mean. Where they made it like a no scope in Call of Duty, where if you hit it as a B4, you were like, oh yeah, I'm so skillful. I placed it off center because I kind of knew his entire army would be off center. But it was like the most bullshit thing. But you guys get me right. It kind of felt skillful, even though it completely wasn't.
I hate things that can just wipe stuff out with one shot. It's just gimmicky and annoying. Ugh.
To be fair though, like the units of Sturm Tiger and the AVRE and the B4, that's kind of what they do. I hate it more when it happens from a Panzer 4 or from a T-34. Like, those units are not supposed to one-hit units, but they still do. I feel like that's more annoying than when you get like one-hit by a Sturm Tiger, because, you know, that's kind of...
I've been up against a Sturg that was just sniping my squads. I don't know how, but it was just sniping my squads. I'm just like, what is this Sturg on?
Yeah, and
honestly,
plane crashes.
yeah.
Chat is mentioning plane crashes, which was also kind of ridiculous.
I remember
Remember when
playing...
mines would give different criticals too? Or was that just a Coh1
yeah.
thing?
No, it was Coh2 as well.
Or when it could randomly wipe your entire squad or just do nothing at all. That was another
Yeah,
fun
I remember
one.
when they maxed it at 2 models, dude. Do you still remember the times you put tripwires to garrison entrances because it would
Yeah, we
one-hit them?
briefly talked about it earlier. It's like losing a Fallschirmjäger.
Yeah.
It's like 380 manpower, like out of the gate. Makes you want to throw the fucking keyboard out the window.
For like 10 munitions.
Yeah, it's like what is this shit?
I mean, I also remember when they reworked the garrisoning system. It used to be the way that all units got in at the same time and they all left the building at the same time. But now it's still like one model by a time. And I feel like it was so clunky at the start, but now it's like such an improvement, man. It was such a quality of life change that I feel like no one is bringing up anymore. But just the fact that each model is like doing it individually instead of jumping in at the same time or leaving the garrison at the same time, you know?
I'm getting a lot of Coh love from this podcast. It's making me want to play the game more, which is a good thing. I want to play it right now. I actually want to go. It's giving me an itch, you know. It's
the problem is when you go back and play it, right? And you're like first 2 games, you have a few good time, and then you run into some like meta guy who's like abusing the most dirty shit, or like you get a really bad sight on a map, and it's like, why did I do this again?
I remember this was ages ago, and I don't even think it was multiplayer because it was years ago when I played Company 1 like properly. I think it was on the campaign. So I was like, I remember I shot down a plane, and it landed and blew up both my tanks, and a little bit inside me wanted to just throw up because happened on Company Eras where a plane would just land and wipe a squad out. It's just so dumb.
I actually went and played Coh1 like must have been last year at this point against Napoleon, right? And I was playing it like Coh2, right?
Were you enjoying it?
I actually had a decent amount of fun. But what I do remember is I played it like Coh2, so if I got a point I would just plant the sandbag on it. But there's some really bad design things in Coh1, for example.
Oh, massively, yeah.
Planes that don't have flares that wipe out your like 8 fucking PE infantry in one volley, and you had no warning about it.
Yeah, the strafe was horrendous.
Yeah, no, it
happened
to
in
me.
base as well.
I was like, what is this? Who made this? Who thought this was a good idea? I could have a warning at least.
Do you mean it's not a good balance where you can just lose your army to nothing?
So fun, dude. I love not having control over my game.
I wish Coh2 and Coh1 still had the off maps in base though, for one reason. Like if you time a
no.
retreat perfectly, you
No.
can wipe an entire army.
Oh god,
I mean,
no.
just seeing that happen in Coh2 where who was it now? OMG Pop did it to Devem, and he retreated him fully on Longer, and he timed the Stuka dive bomb to land on everything.
Hey,
It was
don't you remember?
amazing.
Hey,
It was like we ascended
This is how you
into
know he's
Nirvana.
sarcastic. He has an
hey, don't you
experience.
remember the
on.
2015 scavenge meta? What you did was you waited till you have 1,000 munitions, and then you used the fucking artillery off map on your opponent's base, because the amount of shells that keeps landing is increasing by the amount of munitions.
USF pizza base, man.
So you get annihilation victory at 1,000 munitions. So you just sit there and fucking wait for 1,000 munitions, and then you one-click your opponent's base and win by annihilation. Dude, that was so fucking stupid.
I'm sorry,
I do
guys.
find it funny though. Like A's like this was so cool, it's so fun and everything. But when he plays 1v1s, he hates these exact stuff.
Oh
He just-
no, I
he
love
knows.
it. I love it.
It was the
I love
scavenge doctrine, Patronus.
I mean,
it. Go on,
oh,
Norris.
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, the funniest one of this era, Elpern and you other guys, is when Shawada, that guy, you've seen him with a mustache from the
Oh,
clip.
Shadowwater?
Shadowwater, him.
Yeah, Shadowwater.
He's on Crossing in the Woods, yeah. And he's getting pinned by
I know this
OG
clip.
Luftwaffe, the Stuka fucking commander with all the airplane abilities, right? And it's like the loiter strafe that just goes around suppressing everything, and he goes, "Hey, fuck, what the fuck?" And then he goes off the screen, and you hear glass shatter. It's the best.
I
clip of
know
all
this
time.
clip, dude.
Exactly.
You can hear like glass just falling off screen. It's actually hilarious.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
I was wondering if it's like he just picked up a glass and just threw it at the wall or something. It was that mad.
Oh, it's so good.
I mean,
But that,
loiters are complete bullshit. Okay.
I think right. One big thing I really want to see for loiters is just being able to call in your own planes to just cancel that out.
Oh,
I'm
that
just
would
gonna show
actually
the
be
clip
great.
on stream for a second here. Let's see if I can do this successfully.
it's the clip. You found it already.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I'm
fast.
Isn't
fast.
there any, like,
I'm
rage
I'm
compilation
pretty
thing?
sure this is the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
So you got Shadowwater here
Oh yes.
with the nice. Oh,
Old Soviet industry too.
Bandicam.
not edited, by the way. This actually happened in the Coh2 streams back in the day. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Shadowwater, like, he developed a really unhealthy relationship with the game though. Good lord.
I've seen some great rage clips, honestly.
There's still so many more that just haven't been put on YouTube.
Yeah, big time. People
Yeah.
used to lose their shit. People aren't doing it as much anymore. Like I got the impression people did it for fake reasons, but maybe Coh did get less bad, or the community got better at dealing with the RNG. But I don't see any insane rage clips. Even Helping Hands is like mellower these days. Maybe because he plays mostly 4v4, I guess. But yeah, maybe we need more Orangepest streams. I don't know, but I can't remember the last time we had an OG.
You say that, but then when you watch it, I think people get more annoyed because I just like I turn off like my. It's basically like cathartic for me, right? I just get to whine about it, I cry. It's like
Like that. That's what you kind of have to lean into, right? Advertise yourself as a company of heroes, like gather for all the tilted players. Where you just
yeah,
sit
but
around.
I just do that naturally,
just-
man. I just when
That's
things
we-
don't go my way, I just get pissed. This is
Oh yeah.
this is how it goes, man.
I mean,
Coh2
don't we
just
all?
brings out the absolute worst in me sometimes. I think it's
Yeah.
so weird though. It's just automatch. Tournament, fine. Customs, I don't care. But automatch, I'm like, fuck these people. They're taking my
It's because
points.
automatch, you also know it doesn't matter, right? That's back in your head. You know it doesn't matter, and then you see people bringing out the most disgusting shit ever, and you're kind of.
It's also the thing with like these are my points that I spent like hundreds, if not thousands, of hours getting to top 5. You don't get to steal their shit from by using some dumb shit because you got a good map or something.
Lazily just wins with like a blob or just spam MGs or something.
It gets me riled up like nothing else.
I kind of get that. I get so annoyed when I'm playing the game and they're just like fucking shoving everything in one blob and moving up because that's how you win this game, right? Or spamming MGs and going to sleep.
Double MG, double AT gun win.
Like, yeah, you can deal with it, but you basically have to put so much effort to deal with such a lazy build or playstyle. And that's why it's so boring.
I mean, that would have been an amazing topic for this stream, actually, the balance, because we just got a balance patch, and I think that would be an excellent topic on our next podcast, which will be happening next week. We've kind of already overdone it by 1 hour. I think 2 hours might actually be the better, because we were supposed to only do this for 1 hour, but I feel like 2 hours might be the sweet spot, honestly.
You're asking a lot for a nerd to stop talking about.
I know. I'm the same, Nathan. Don't you worry.
But I'll be here all night just talking shit about the game.
Yeah, but I will thank you all very, very much for showing up here, talking with us, and of course the viewers watching. You will find the VOD on AECoH's YouTube channel after this. The people here are, of course, AECoH, Nathan, and Orangepest.
Wow, you had to think there for a second about my name.
Yes.
We met in real life.
Yeah, but I was thinking about your IRL name, okay?
What is Orangepest's IRL name?
You don't want to know.
Bjorn.
You actually said it. You actually said it last stream, so I'm gonna go ahead and dox you. His name is William.
That's not Swedish. It's William.
That is such a new a normal name. I'm not happy.
What's going on?
We got
something super extraordinary to please all of you.
We got Maxim in chat. Kimbo, Maxim.
Just before we go, guys, I just realized we're all in a cube, and it would be reminiscent on the reunion of ABBA if I did not say, take a chance, take a chance, take a chance. I'm looking at elpern, take a chance, take a chance. I'm looking at you, I'm married to you. Come on, baby, your turn to sing. Let's go.
Take a chance, take a chance, take a chance.
Oh my god, he's kicking in. His natural Swedishness kicked in. He couldn't help it. What happened
there? Take a chance on me.
Oh gosh.
Whatever. But cheers, boys. Hope you all have a wonderful Friday evening, and I'll see you guys next week on the weekly Coh2 podcast, whatever we're gonna call it. I'm not sure if we're sticking with this, but we might.
Probably need a better name.
Yeah, true. Oh well. Bye.
Bye.